Now we've reached the last game of the day, and we're going to become a little bit philosophical here. In life, you either build or destroy relationships, yourself, um, you know, random objects. I don't know, but you choose whether to build or destroy things, and in this game, you destroy everything that someone else has built. So this is Terra of Hemasaurus, and it really feels like a graphical and modern update to the classic arcade game Rampage. And I had to actually look back because I was like, I remember this game being out a long time ago, but I don't remember when it came out. And then I'm like, oh yeah, 1986. Yeah, that was a little while ago. Yeah. So bright work, explosions, and the special abilities of this game looks cool. Neon graphics. It's easily the closest a game has come to Rampage, from '86, in decades. I can't think of any other game that has attempted to be the next Rampage other than Rampage. Was it Total Warfare? Yeah. That came out in 1997. So the sequel, and it was designed by two of the original creators of the original Rampage game. So it's a fun city destruction arcade game, a lot like the game that came out decades ago. You choose a monster. Apparently the story is there's some sort of cult. There's climate change, climate issues, I assume resource issues. So it's kind of like the story's kind of heavy for a game that you're just going in to just beat the crap out of buildings. But anyways, these monsters have been defrosted, reawakened, and they're unleashing destruction on the city. So I mean, it's compared to Total Destruction, which came out in '97, as I referred earlier. You know, the graphics are pretty good. They kind of have a different pixel art to that game, but that game's also now 27 years old, which blows my mind. But yeah, so you follow the game's instructions. I don't think the original Rampage really had just instructions. You just had to beat and smash cars and throw people and eat people, all those lovely things. So this game actually has instructions you have to follow, so you have to kick cars into buildings, which you could do obviously in Rampage. Rescuing dogs and cats, I don't remember that being a thing in Rampage. Smash buildings, chew people, throw people around. So I found that was the highlight of this game. I don't remember being able to throw people in the original Rampage. Total War came out, or Total Destruction came out long enough ago that I don't remember if that was a thing, but probably, because I thought of everything in that game. So the biggest plus of this game, I feel like it supports 4 people at once. I think Rampage Total Destruction only supported 3. I could be wrong, just due to limitations of the N64 when it came out. But so they're comparable. So the graphics are colorful, yet has that certain pixelated and sometimes flashy with the neon colors graphics. And the gameplay is kind of like Rampage with more players, and I feel like they tried to make a more satirical story. The story sort of takes a backseat, at least in the first Rampage. It was just about destroying stuff and don't worry about the story. The second one, I think they tried to add a bit more story to it, but even then, you're just on the loose and you're trying to destroy the world for some reason. Yeah, so apparently with this game, the story, you're either going to like it, the weirdness, or you're going to reject it. It's sort of about a cult that brings back these monsters. I didn't really get into it. Some say it's juvenile, so I guess you can ignore it, but apparently there's walls of text, so you just want to smash things with this game. So I feel like this is the game's downfall. They tried to make it have depth with a game that didn't need depth. It should be an optional depth. I just did not feel the allure for this game that I had for the original Rampage. This actually made me think, hey, the original Rampage was really designed to be simple, pick up, play, destroy stuff. You don't have to think about why it's happening. It's kind of mindless, but I mean, arcade games are meant to be mostly mindless, mostly. Yeah, so the campaign is only 2 hours long. It's super short, apparently. I just couldn't get into it. I just felt like this wasn't as just you're limited, and I'll get on to that in a second. Yeah, so, and it also talks about video game censorship, but I hadn't even seen that yet with this game. So it's kind of weird that all these elements got put into a game where you're just like smashing stuff. So I feel like the monsters, another thing that really bothered me was the monsters move in like a flaky, sort of floaty kind of way, unlike Rampage, where I feel like the controls are tight enough and stiff and mostly responsive. Even if, I think with Rampage the hardest part was to climb up the building. So once you were on the building, smashing stuff, eating people from the windows, and you know, eating people from their bathtubs in that game, super easy. So the hardest part I remember of that game was just getting on the building, getting off the building, but it wasn't really a challenge. It was just like a slight minor annoyance. So yeah, the challenges in each stage can be very simple or very annoying to follow. I feel like this is a game that doesn't really need instructions. I mean, if they just say at the beginning, destroy everything, go, have fun, that works. But unlike Rampage, you can actually stand on the buildings, which I think is like a huge oversight. Or punch up or down or backwards, and I feel like that's a major gameplay mistake, error. Just being able to punch around, unable to punch around yourself makes the game feel somewhat dated. And it's like, as soon as I found that out, I'm like, well, why don't I just go back to the Rampage game from like 3 to 5 decades ago, or the one that came out in '97? Because if I can't play the game and like punch back and hit the helicopters and cause explosions the way I want to, this game, you feel limited. It doesn't feel like an upgrade anymore when they've taken away your ability to fight in a 360 degree rotation or area. So yeah, you don't, it's really one of those things that you don't realize is essential until you're actually playing the game. Maybe on paper, you know, saying it out loud like this, it's like, oh, that's no big deal. But when you're playing the game and you can't even attack in every direction, that's pretty a glaring oversight on the game design, game mechanics. So apparently, thus, you're stuck moving left and right because of this lack of full movement, full attacking possibilities. So you're stuck moving left and right all the time, and you know, the game gets dull because you're doing the same thing. There's no extra there's no, it's just repetitive. I was trying to say there's no extra like depth. Yes, that's what I was looking for. There's no extra depth to your repertoire, so therefore you then, it's like, oh, I'm doing the same thing, let's go back to the game from, you know, 27 years ago, because it lets me play the way I want to play. So as someone who grew up with those games, I just feel like, wow, these are like really big oversights. So the game will get dull because you can't do what you're expecting to be able to do. So I just feel like Rampage, even Rampage, I remember playing through the whole game. It's like, what, 3 to 6 hours? There's not a lot of story. I don't think it has an ending. I don't know, it's been so long. But Terror of Hemasaurus, it just gets really dull and stagnates easily. And without being able to attack in every direction, it feels like you've lost features that you're used to growing up if you've played these other games. Or, you know, suddenly you're like, oh, well, I can't attack these helicopters or whatever, or tanks shooting at me. So it goes for $14.49 regular price. It's on sale for the next 5 days, $7.24. If you're looking for a game that comes close to capturing Rampage, the magic of Rampage, but manages to miss the mark with less gaming mechanics than the game from 1986 and its sequel from 1997, which kept the essence of the original going, then give this a try. I saw a lot of positive reviews. I don't know if these people that reviewed it actually played the originals, but the originals I felt like were done better and like a long time ago, and now someone's doing something similar, which is nice. Maybe people think this original concept, it really isn't. Yeah, I just don't see any point in pretending that like this is the superior game when it isn't. And the 1997 sequel, they did such a good job at revamping it with the graphics at the time and game mechanics to make it a little bit fresher than it was. I remember it getting stale, but at least it didn't get stale and repetitive as fast because they added things to the game. So the 1997 sequel offered 3 players simultaneously and had better controls and almost on par, I would say almost on par, it's a different style, less neon graphics as this game from 2022. So it's not horrible, I just feel like it's missing that extra push. It makes it exciting for the solo player, and it's not really like a proper replacement for a game that came out 25 years later, or earlier rather. I just can't believe, you know, it's been that long. And, you know, sometimes the classics are classics for a reason, and people try and make something better, and sometimes it doesn't work. So I'm being generous saying it's 7 out of 10. I just feel like it's nothing beyond that. Like, it's not quite the level that it should be at. If it was trying to replace Rampage, or if it's just trying to do its own thing, it just doesn't compare to the previous 2 games that indirectly. So I would say keep on destroying the city, keep on gaming. Just don't expect the next level, just expect something that's kind of on par to what came before, or maybe a little bit lesser. So keep on gaming. Bye.